AITA for causing a mass exodus from my uncle's barbecue. My F32 uncle M71 and his wife F69 recently hosted a family barbecue at their home. This is normally a rotating thing, so everyone in the family takes turns hosting. My uncle is a very difficult man to get along with, and I mostly went because it is important to my mom F66. He is very rigid in his beliefs and will make it very clear to you if you have done something to offend him. Once that has happened, there is no chance for redemption regardless of whether you are family, friends, or a stranger. While at the barbecue, everyone was standing around and my daughter F6 helped herself to a banana from the fruit bowl. Now obviously, you shouldn't take anything that doesn't belong to you without asking. But she is 6 and manners are still being learned. Not saying she was right in this. That being said, my uncle lost his mind. He called her a thieving brat and started threatening to call the cops. I stepped in and he told me to pack up my stuff and go because he didn't want thieves in his home. He told me that neither myself, my daughter, or my husband M33 would ever be welcome again because clearly this was a taught behavior. I was furious. I told my uncle that this intolerance was why he has no friends, and why we only visit his home out of obligation. I told him that without my mom's family values, there wouldn't be anyone at the barbecue. In the middle of this, he pulled out his phone to call Mr. Police and ask how a little girl would survive in prison. My daughter was beside herself, so I gathered her and my husband, and we left. Apparently, after we left, my uncle was ranting and raving. And eventually my cousin F24, not his child, told my uncle that he was lucky he didn't try with someone else in the family because I was still polite in what I said. She told him that she refused to eat at the home of someone who thought it is okay to bully a child. As my cousin left, apparently quite a few people followed, and suddenly it was just my uncle and his wife left. His wife has been calling me telling me that I humiliated him in his own home and I can't expect his generation to be PC. She has also told me that he has been moping ever since because he feels like an outcast in the family, and that I shouldn't have been so harsh. I am glad I stood up for my daughter, but I never intended for everyone to leave as a result of the banana. Now I wonder if I was too much. Was I the AITA for getting mad when I found out my wife gossiped about me? Sorry for the throwaway account. I am 36 and my wife Ashley is 33. To get it out of the way, I have an above average size dick. I'm not going to the Guinness records or anything, but every partner I've ever had remarks on it. In the past, this has also meant that every single one of them tells their friends, and that gossip gets around. This makes me extremely uncomfortable, to the point that I had to start telling anyone new, do not talk about my dick to your friends. They all agree, and then they all do it anyway. It is very frustrating. Until I met my now wife, who was totally respectful of the boundary. We have been together for 6 years and married for 3. No kids yet. You probably see where this is going. We were with some of her close girlfriends at a bar last night and I suggested we go to another pub, and her friend semi-drunk responds, "If Big Dick says we go, we go." Ashley froze up and I went cold. Turns out that she told all her close friends when we met, right after I told her not to. And now they use Big Dick or BD in their group chat to refer to me. Ashley says they only say it when I do something worthy of the name. I don't even know what that means and I don't want to. So I left them and went home. Ashley was apologetic at first but kind of thought it was funny that I figured it out, and only learned how angry I was after I literally walked out of the bar. She says I'm overreacting and that what she talks about with her friends is totally normal. I said I don't care how normal it is, that I can't trust her anymore. AITA for calling my mom selfish and telling her it will be her fault when the baby DS. I F28 just had my first, a beautiful baby boy 2 weeks. He is the light of my life, and both my husband M30 and I are overjoyed. My mom F61 lives overseas and came to help out with the new baby. She is a doting grandma, but tends to do things her way, so there have been a few hiccups. The pediatrician was very clear that no one should kiss the baby other than my husband and I. The baby's little immune system is too weak, and God forbid he gets something. I was very clear about this to my mom, who was resistant, but I was firm and told her no holding the baby at all unless she agrees to no kissing. So, no kissing was agreed. Yesterday, I walked into the nursery to find my mom kissing the baby and generally playing with him. I was so upset. How long had she been doing this behind my back? My mom justified it by saying that the baby was now 2 weeks old and nothing bad had happened, so we could start building his immune system. She also said rules like these were why so many children had allergies nowadays. I took the baby from my mom and called her a selfish cow. I told her that when the baby DS from a preventable disease, it will be her fault and hers alone. I may have gone a bit far. I told her she was lucky I wasn't kicking her out, and the only reason I wasn't is because she has no place else to go. As I type this, my mom is busy packing her bags because she is clearly not welcome in her grandchild's life, and moaning about how she will never have a bond with him. She found time in all of this to text my aunt F65, who called to tell me that I should be ashamed of myself and that my son should count his blessings that he has a loving grandmother. Now I wonder if I was a bit intense, and probably could have been a bit more relaxed. So was I the AITA for laughing at my brother when he got rejected from every college? This happened a couple months ago, but I discovered this sub now. I'm wondering. My younger brother was applying to colleges this past admissions cycle. He applied exclusively to top schools: Ivies, Stanford, MIT, CMU, etc. His safety was Berkeley because he felt confident he'd get into a top school due to being valedictorian and winning a few debate competitions. My parents asked me to help his application because I got into a few of those schools last year. I don't think that makes me an expert, but from getting in and meetings lots of others that did too, all I can say is, it's completely fucking random. I've met Olympians, kids who've published full-length novels, kids who run successful companies. I've also met kids who have essentially good grades in normal extracurricular activities. So essentially there's no formula to guarantee that you'll get in, and it's always common sense to apply to actual safeties. I told him this, but he laughed this off and said unlike me his application's good enough not to need to apply to safeties. I said fine. His funeral. He ended up getting rejected by every college he applied to, had to scramble to apply to colleges with rolling admissions dates, and ended up having to go to community college for 2 years. I heard this when I came home to visit during summer break. Given the context of him being so arrogant about his application and denigrating mine, I found it incredibly funny. So I started laughing about it. He got angry and called me an off for laughing at him instead of being supportive. I honestly think he had it coming. AITA for refusing to help my father financially when I make over 5 times his salary. I 31M have a father 52M who has 2 other children from another woman. He always asks me for money because I am a chemical engineer that makes over $250K a year. Most of the time I do it, because his asks are pretty small, but he has never had a vacation with me before. In the last 2 years, he has asked me to pay for his trips to have quality time with his other kids. This year, I asked if I could also tag along, but he said that I wouldn't fit in and it'd be awkward. This time, the trip cost over $20,000, so I said, if I'm paying for this trip, I'm tagging along. He got very annoyed and said that he had promised a father-son bonding experience for them. I asked him why he promised to do something he couldn't afford, and he said because I know you'll pay for it. I asked him why we never had father-son bond time, and he shouted, are you gonna do it or not? I told him no. Now all of my family is saying that just because I was denied something that doesn't mean I should deny it to other people, but maybe he shouldn't have promised someone he'd do something when he couldn't afford it. A lot of people are telling me that I'm the asshole. What do you think? AITA for telling my female cousin that she needs wear appropriate clothes. So long story short, I 21 meters lives with my parents BCS. I got job near my house and we have big house. So I also get my privacy. So I didn't see any reason to move out now. Recently my cousin Mia 19F came to live with us for 1-2 year because her parents are going through some issues. We both have good relation, we get along nice, and we even play outdoor games and also video games, so we spend a lot of time together. The issue is that she started dressing very immodestly. I know it may sound like I am controlling or something, but no, she is literally wearing very less clothes. For X she just wears underwear, panties and oversized t-shirt or hoodies and roam the house or watches TV in living room. Last night she was just wearing a freaking tank top which was mine, so it was bigger in size, but she said she liked it so I gave it to her. She was just wearing the tank top and I can visibly see her entire left boob and it made me really uncomfortable. After that I straight up told her that she need wear more appropriate clothes around the house, which led to an argument that I am trying to be controlling jerk and etc etc. I talked with my mother about this and she said my cousin is going through issue because of her parents' separation and I should cut her some slack. So was I the asshole here? AITA for telling my parents they are not getting money off me so they can spoil my siblings the way they never wanted to spoil me. My parents had me at 27 and 29 respectively. I was their only child for 14 years and in all the years I was living with them, they never believed in nice things or treating me for any reason. They had the money. My mom was often buying more makeup and shoes and my dad was into golf, so their money went on their hobbies and I had basics for everything. Anything I wanted I was told no. Christmas and birthdays were for practical gifts. School supplies they bought without me because it was basically plain everything and they didn't want me complaining about wanting a character backpack or a pink pencil or something. I always remember it was really hot one summer, and I was 8 years old maybe. An ice cream truck stopped in our neighborhood and all the kids were getting ice cream, so I approached my parents who were talking to some neighbors and I asked if I could have the money for one too. They said no, because ice cream was not an essential and I could go inside and get some water if I wanted to cool down. A neighbor offered to pay for my ice cream and my parents put a stop to that as well. I went inside for the rest of the day anyway because I was upset and jealous watching all the other kids eat their ice creams and knowing my parents wouldn't even let someone else buy me one. They started to change after I moved out of home. I noticed when an invite came from my little sister's 5th birthday party, and it was a huge surprise because I never got a birthday party. In the 3 years since they have thrown birthday parties, gone all out for Christmas, they took them on vacation, which I never went on but my parents did. Then several months ago my parents realized I was doing well for myself with my art. They asked me to buy my siblings these big gifts for Christmas and I said no. My parents said they could only get this so much and I shrugged. These were easily $300,400 gifts each that my parents wanted me to buy. And of course I was to give the gifts to my parents to give to my siblings. A few days ago then my parents asked me for money for stuff for my siblings and I said no. They said I was being very tight-fisted with my money and to think of how much it would mean to my siblings. This is when I told them they don't get money off me to spoil my siblings the way they refuse to spoil me. My parents said I was being petty and that I was punishing the wrong people. AITA X200B. AITA for telling my sister's fiancé that he is too good for her. I'm 26F, my sister is 29 and she's been with her boyfriend 33M. I'll call him Finn for 3 years now. Last week I found out from my mom that he proposed to her and they're now engaged. Little backstory, my sister and I have never had a good relationship. We are not close and don't talk much, but we are both somewhat close to our mom, her more than me, so I know about most of her major life things that way. My sister has had 6 maybe more boyfriends before Finn, and has cheated on every single one. That's why they all left her. Previously I didn't really care. I didn't want to be involved, but I met Finn at a family dinner right when she started seeing him, and we really hit it off. He's a super sweet and fun person to talk to, and we have similar jobs and hobbies. We've been close friends for the last few years. So when I found out that my sister was cheating on him 6 months after she started dating him, I called her up and gave it to her straight. I said he's an amazing guy and way too good for her, and if she got her shit together and stopped cheating, she could maybe actually deserve him, and have a chance. I thought she listened, because they've been together for way longer than any of her other boyfriends lasted. But I guess Finn is just too trusting and unsuspicious, because my mom told me last week that she's cheated on Finn with 4 women in the last 2 years. In the same conversation when she said they were engaged, I was shocked and appalled, so I told Finn about this that evening. I said that my sister didn't deserve him and he should cut and run. He was understandably furious and did break up with her straight away. Now my sister is furious with me. She says it was none of my business to interfere, and also because she's not currently cheating on Finn. I was bringing up ancient history because I was jealous and want to date him. This is ridiculous. I live with my boyfriend of 2 years and honestly, the age gap between me and Finn is way too much. We're just friends, and have never been anything more while she's been cheating on him for years. So anyway, am I the asshole for interfering her? My mom thinks I am. AITA for walking in while my roommate was having sex. Yesterday, I 20F had to grab some books from my dorm before heading to class. When I got back to the room, I heard my roommate and her boyfriend in the middle of having sex. Not wanting to interrupt or invade her privacy, I knocked on the door and politely informed her that I needed to get my books. There was no response, and they continued. I decided to give them some time, so I left for about 10 minutes, thinking they might be done by the time I returned. However, when I came back, they were still at it. I knocked again. But once again, no response. At this point, I was starting to feel a bit impatient because I couldn't afford to be late for class. So, I decided to enter the room to grab my books. My roommate got understandably upset, expressing that I invaded her privacy by barging in without her consent. I understand that walking in like that might have been uncomfortable for her, and I feel bad about it. On the other hand, I needed to get to class and had already given them a fair amount of time to finish up or acknowledge my presence. So AITA for buying the last of an item that someone else hid in the store. I was shopping the frozen food section of Costco. I stumbled upon a bag of frozen soup dumplings Mila that were not in the section they were supposed to be in. They were peeking out from behind boxes of corn dogs. I had been looking for these soup dumplings because FB ads has been bombarding me with them for weeks. So when I saw the one bag behind the corn dogs, I grabbed them and put them in my cart. A couple seconds later, some woman stops me and says, "Excuse me, I was saving that bag to grab after I finished the rest of my shopping because I didn't want them to melt." I told her I didn't understand what she meant. She reiterated, "That was the last bag of dumplings, so I hid them so I could do some other shopping and come get them later. So can you please give them to me?" I replied, "Sorry, no. I found them, and I want to buy them. You're welcome to another bag if there are any left, but this bag is mine now." She says, "You're a real jerk, you know that?" I replied, "Yeah, I might be, but I'll be a jerk eating some delicious soup dumplings when I get home." Am I the asshole? AITA for telling my wife I do not want to live more in line with my wife's social status. I have been with my wife since university. We have been together for 14 years, married for 8. My practice has been doing very well, and I do have joint finances with my wife. We have recently been arguing more about money. I am a frugal person when it comes to things materialistic items. I am all for spending on trips and adventures, and we do so often. I just despise spending money on items that overly show my wealth. My wife has made claims that it is unfair and embarrassing that we live the way we do. She wants to be more in line with her friends. I have told her countless times that is simply not my style. I am fine with what we have. I do not need to show off or prove something to others. I do understand and see people do talk about us, but I just don't care. Should I have listened to my wife's pleas and given her the finer things, so to speak, so she would feel more included or less of an outcast? Edit. Thanks for all the replies and insight. I will speak with her in the morning and try to come up with a compromise. Maybe I will suggest she can go back to work part-time. I will still cover every joint expense, and the money she gets from work she can use however she sees fit. Edit. Did not expect to see this blow up. I have been given a lot to think about and have been enjoying the discussion that is being had. I do appreciate it. Most likely will be my final edit. Did not expect this thread to blow up the way it did. I did enjoy the few discussion threads. Time to go back to adulting. Either way, thanks for everything. This was informative, insightful, and a blast. Takes me back to my old WoW forum days as a kid. Have a good one, everyone. Remember, anime is timeless. Smiley face. AITA for free bleeding at my Mill's house. To start, free bleeding is essentially not wearing any form of protection on your period, so you are bleeding freely. Clues in the name. I'm currently staying at my Mill's house with my husband for a family get-together, 6 birthdays in 1 week. I have horrifically painful periods and bad mobility. I cannot use cups and am allergic to all brands of pad. I've used rashes on all genitalia, which does not feel good. I do have cloth pads, but I only brought a couple small ones for my trip as I wasn't due on until days after we got home. But we're on day 4 of our trip and I started my period on our first night. I tried to use some disposable pads I picked up, but I broke out in a rash and had blisters everywhere they should not be. So 2 days ago I decided to say what the hell and free bleed like I do at home. I bring my own towels to my meals, so I have been sitting and sleeping on those. I have bled through twice but cleaned the mess and left no stain. My Mill is pissed off, to say the least. She's disgusted by my lack of decorum and carrying my bloody towel around everywhere. She also hates that I'm washing them in her machines and is now saying we need to pay to have them professionally cleaned, which we will do. Everything kinda came to a head last night when she lost it on me for behaving like an animal. She wants me to leave, but my husband stay, which isn't possible. 1 car. I can't drive that far, especially not with the amount of pain I'm in. My husband is on damage control, but I just feel so shitty. Am I in the wrong here? I understand that it's not super sanitary, but my health matters more than some bed sheets. I'll replace them if she wants. I'm close to just gritting my teeth through the pain and putting a pad on, but I really don't want to. I don't want open sores down there when we're driving home. Sitting for that long will suck. AITA, I feel like I'm choosing the lesser of 2 evils, but now I don't know. AITA for refusing to have a Catholic wedding. I am 31. I am planning a wedding with my fiancée Lily F. 29. I love her and truly want to spend my life with her, provided that this wedding doesn't tear us apart. I am not religious, never have been. Lily is Catholic. We discussed religion before we ever became a couple. She told me she was Catholic. I told her I was not, and had no interest in converting. She said that was fine, as long as I was respectful toward her beliefs. So far, I have been. I keep quiet about my views on organized religion. I bow my head when her family says grace. I even tolerate her religious Christmas music without a complaint. When we started planning our wedding, Lily gave me a list of demands I would have to meet in order to marry her. I would have to meet with the bishop and promise not to pull her away from Catholicism. I would have to marry her in a church. I would have to participate in the Catholic wedding ceremony. Lily insists that it isn't a big deal. The meeting with the bishop should only take 20 minutes, and the wedding should only take 45 minutes tops. So what's the big deal? The big deal is that Lily promised she wouldn't involve me in her religion. I told her I had no interest in stepping foot in a church ever. Now it seems like she's going back on her word. She called me in awe because I flat out refused to go through with it, even when she offered to do a secular ceremony in addition, or even as the main event. The Catholic one is just a box we have to check, she says. So AITA for refusing anyway? AITA for wanting the office my husband opened in my name. I 25F have been married to my husband 27M for 3 years now. I have finished my law study 1 year ago. I am currently 2 months pregnant with our first child. My husband has his own company where he works. When we got married, he wanted me to sign a prenup which stated that I am not entitled to any of his assets if we get a divorce, and he is not entitled to my assets. I have significantly less than him. My husband said he didn't want me to work for any boss or whatsoever, We are not struggling financially and he gives me money, but I still want to make something for myself as well. My husband is renting homes as well and he gives me the rent of 2 houses on top of everything else. So he said I don't have to work. I told my husband that I am gonna work and we got in a fight. He asked why I insisted and I said, let's say you leave me today, then what? I won't have anything left for myself besides what I already had. I don't want to depend on you for everything. I want to be able to handle myself if I have to. This happened 4 months ago before I got pregnant. 2 months ago my husband surprised me with my own office. I found out the office was in his name 2 weeks ago and I asked him to put it in my name as it is my office and I am the one who is working here. He said no and said that it doesn't matter because we are a team. I told him that he was the one who didn't want me working for a boss, so he should put the office in my name then. We again got in a fight and he accused me of planning to leave him once our child is born. I again explained that I just want to be independent and make my own money. He said that the office being in his name doesn't change it and that I don't trust him. I told him that if I am the one managing everything and going there every day, then the office is mine and should be in my name. My mill has been calling me non-stop to tell me that I am TA and she is saying I am trying to get his money, which is not the case at all. I feel like I might be TA for asking this and my husband is now thinking I don't trust him. So AITA X200B update. I see some people are concerned whether I have a personal account or not. Yes, I do have a personal account. The money I get goes there. And the prenup is meant for our own assets. Joint assets are to be split if we get a divorce or something. But we have almost zero joint assets. He puts almost everything in his name. The only thing we share is an apartment where we don't live in the car.